Alright, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Life of Pi with me, your host, P. Young. So, if you're new to this podcast, this is a podcast about movies and television. I am a huge movie buff and I love binge watching all kinds of different TV shows. Right now, we are covering HBO Max miniseries Tokyo Vice. If you guys haven't watched the show at all, please stop, pause, and go watch the show and then catch back up with us. So, right now we're on episode 6. It's actually episode 6 of 8. I looked at it wrong. It's not 7, it's not 8. And I also want to give another thank you to everybody who's continuing to give the show listens and watch it on YouTube. I really appreciate that. And let's keep the train rolling. So, episode 6, we open up with Samantha getting phone calls from Paulina. And so we see that Samantha hasn't been at work in a few days. Well, we can tell from Paulina's basically voicemail. She's like, you need to call me back. You haven't been at work. So, don't mind me. I'm going to trying to edit as I go, guys. So, trying to get the volumes right, if you know what I mean. So, we get her, she's got voicemails from Paulina, like, where are you? And then, of course, we get a ring at the door, and who else would it be but the lovebird Jake? As you remember from previous episode, Jake had a shitty day and was a huge dick to her at work in front of her customers and just a huge dick to her in general. So, and he basically wanted to apologize by bringing her like apology sweets. Didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it is over in Japan. So, and after that, he goes ahead and warns her, as he knows, like, her and Sato are not a thing, and he's kind of upset about that. You can tell he's kind of peeved about it, I guess. And he basically warns her about the relationship with Sato. He's a dangerous man, and you don't know who you're dealing with. And so he basically tells him to F off, essentially. So then we flip over to Sato. He's shaking down a mechanic for information about a drug deal that's going down. And it's clear that Sato in the scene has been promoted. He now has a driver who calls him boss. And then again, you're new. There's different storylines going around. So lots of jumping around. So guys, if you guys have been watching these, you kind of know how it jumps around quite a bit. So we flip back over from his personal driver to Jake walking down the street with his buddies, reading the Yakuza magazine. They're basically telling him, you're getting way too involved in this. We're getting way too serious about this. And basically you're like falling in love with these guys, what they're making fun of him about. And so Jake actually finds out that the same writer has written 3 different profiles on Tozawa in 3 different magazines. So Jake proceeds to track down this dude's basically his address and shows up at his house, which is kind of a weird thing to do, but I get it. You're a journalist. You have to get the leads any way you can. So, you gotta do what you gotta do. And anybody who is a journalist watching this, you probably not necessarily done the same thing, but you get your information however you can. So, Jake basically he walks in, and there's just this plethora of pictures of him and other Yakuza members, and like he sees all of his mistresses, and Jake's like, you have all this information, just give me a little tidbit, And the guy's like, no, I really can't because I'm writing a book about it. And so he's basically at that point he sees a picture of Miska, I think is how Miskaya. I'm probably butchering the beautiful woman's name. This beautiful female that's been on Tozawa's arm most of the series. He's basically told to stay away from her. That's like his main woman. And so of course, we know how Jake is. He probably won't. And we flip over. Jake has now tracked down Tozawa at his building, and he's walking out with Miska, and he basically leaves her at the door, and so Jake proceeds to follow her while she's with her bodyguard. Not the smartest move, as basically as stalkerish as he is, And basically she figures out he's following her, and he's like, I got some questions I want to ask you about previous mistresses that have disappeared with Tozawa. And she goes, well, you're really stupid for coming here and trying to ask me these questions, and you should probably be more scared of him than I am, because you're a journalist and you're trying to get information he doesn't want public. And then she kind of screws along her way, and she takes off. And so we see where Tozawa is going. He arrives at an impromptu Yakuza meeting with what I can only perceive as a bunch of different family members from all over Japan. And basically this meeting, well, we'll get to that. Then we flip over, Jake is here, he followed her. So basically the meeting is about Tozawa is being yelled at by other families for infringing on people's territories and doing business deals and trying to move in and shake people down. And apparently that's very frowned upon in the Yakuza, as it would have been any gangs here in the country. As you know, like certain gangs have certain areas and you see it on the news and stuff like that. So I assume it's kind of along those same lines, but this seems a little more radical, if you will. So he's told to apologize, so he gets out a case of money as an apology, and he says it's 100 million yen. So I'm actually going to look it up right now since I didn't get a chance to write it down before I started here. So I'm going to look this up real quick, see how much this translates into. 100 million yen to US dollars would be 732,600 nowadays. What would it be back then? I won't waste your time looking that up. So that gives you an estimate about what that is to American dollars for just a reference. And he gives it to him in yen. And basically the families aren't satisfied. And so Chikara-san, which is Tozawa's family's boss, like the leader, basically makes him get on his knees and beg for forgiveness for everything. And Tozawa is pissed. He's got his knuckles clenched. He's like digging them into the floor. And you can see on his face, he got the veins popping out. You can see he's just pissed. He's like, how dare you disrespect me like this? Like, he's a man of power. He's not used to something like this. You can tell. And again, great acting. You can see just the anger without him saying a word. After that, as he's down on his knees, bent forward with his knuckles out, the family members leave. They're satisfied. And then we flip back over to the club with Pauline and Samantha. Paulina's like, oh, nice to know, like, you're alive, basically. And so Samantha's like, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. I didn't mean to do that. It's just been a rough time. And so, of course, Samantha's like, we got customers, we gotta get out there. And so as soon as Samantha walks out there, her boss is like, hey, he's been asking about you. And who do you think has been asking about her? The creepy bounty hunter dude himself. I don't know. I feel like he has a name and I just haven't caught it yet, or maybe I've missed it. I'm just going to call him the creepy bounty hunter guy. And so she sits down with him, and basically we find out that she asks, who hired you? She wants to know, who hired you to find me? He goes, well, it wasn't the church. It was your father. And that is like a scary thing. Think about it, like her father hired this guy who he doesn't know to track her down. And basically they agree upon that she's going to have 10, sexual sessions with him to make her basically disappear again without him tracking her down. And again, it's kind of gross, kind of disgusting. What this guy's trying to do is use sex as money. It's a whole sleazy, just gross storyline they got going on. And we flip back over. We're to Chikara and Tozawa. Everybody's left. And they're discussing, Chikara's basically, Chikara's son is basically telling, like, look, I picked you as the man to move into Tokyo and make moves for us. Establish ground, income, selling stuff. He goes, and you failed. He goes, I thought you were the man for the job. Apparently you're not. He goes, do not fail me again. So you go to imagine what Tozawa's thinking. He's probably like, wow, I failed. Like, this is some BS. Um, so we're going to see what he does next. We'll get to that. So, Aishoda and Sato sit down to discuss his first kill. He tells him, the first one should bother. He goes, but the ones after that will not. And as remember from last episode, episode 5, it ended with a really pretty awesome, like attack scene. We can only assume that Tozawa sent members to Aishoda to attack and kill him, and Sato arrived in time to save him and killed a man. So, and Sato also gets information that, oh yeah, messed that up. So we flip back over. Jake's at the house. Well, Jake's walking to his house, and Sato's waiting for him. Sato makes him get in a car, and Aishoda is there. And basically, Aishoda is using information that was obtained by Sato and his men about Tozawa's meth shipment. And they call it Shimbu, and we eventually find out it's meth. So basically, he's telling Jake about this so he can write a story about it. So he can get a tip, write a story, and they can kind of screw over Tozawa. And Jake doesn't want to do this, but kind of realizes, if I get this story, this could be huge for my career. So little as you know, and the way I took it when this happened was that you did him a favor, well, he does you a favor, now you do him a favor, now you're kind of stuck in bed with them, doing favors back and forth, like Katagiri told you not to do. But his pride looks like it got the best of him for right now. So, then we flip over to Tozawa and Misuka having dinner at a super fancy restaurant. Nice looking steak he's eating, by the way. I'm a big steak guy, so I noticed the steak on the plate. And basically he tells her, that, she's going to get him healthy and everything's going to be fine. And he basically, threatens to kill her. He's like, have you thought about what life's going to be without him? Because as we know, he's very ill. And she goes, no, I haven't. He goes, I know you think about other men when I'm not around. And he goes, you better keep him out of your bed till I'm gone or I will kill you. And so we can see the power. Tozawa's having a really bad day and he's taking it out on his mistress. So then we flip back over to Jake. Jake's had a really busy episode, by the way, guys. He's at Detective Katagiri's home and he shows up to tell him about this shipment of meth coming in. And Katagiri is like, let's sit on it. And Jake's like, it's coming in at 5 a.m. Because I have the plane, the details where it's going to be and when. And so Katagiri is like, no, we need to sit on it. No matter what the tip is, he goes, you can build a case and take them down that way. So of course, and then we also find out that Jake gave a tip to Aishoda that Kume was a traitor, and basically, so Jake finds out he's responsible for Kume's death. This is when Jake's just finding out about Kume's death, basically forced suicide death. So again, Jake's having another really bad day, just like Tozawa. And so we flip over to Samantha and Sato. They're playing home together. It's kind of a boring 4 or 5 minutes. They're laying in bed talking about their day or whatever. It's Then they actually get into it. Sato talks about how his dad taught him to cook. He wanted to be a cook, but he couldn't provide his family doing that. And then we go over to the part where Samantha is showing Sato her ring. It says CTR. We finally got to see what the ring says. CTR, choose the right path. And we find out that the meaning of that, her father it's not her parents telling her to follow God's path. It's her father saying, you choose the right path that I picked out for you, essentially. So from what we've gathered so far, her father is a very controlling individual, very menacing figure from the creepy picture I think we saw in episode 4 or 5. So we can kind of see why Samantha ran away. And so she tells Sato about the man that was hired to kill her. And he's really kind of, you can see Sato's kind of bothered by that, as you will, not kill her, I'm sorry. Basically extort her, essentially, to find her and extort her. He finds out basically it's for sex and whatnot. And so we flip back over. Again, Jake's on the run trying to get this story published. And Jake is at his editor's house. Her brother answers the door. He probably is confused, didn't know she had a brother. Her brother's is mentally not well. And he's like, hey, I got this tip. And she's basically like, you need to sit on it. You can't just go out there and like, we don't work for the police department, this and that. So Jake's getting frustrated because nobody wants to take this tip seriously or help him with this story. And of course, you're going to get frustrated with something like that. You're trying to find someone to tell, and no one is listening to you. So we flip over to Paulina. Paulina's with her boyfriend. This dude's a real POS, if you know what that means. I'm sure we do. We're all adults. To celebrate at his hostess club, at the male hostess club that he works at, their 3-month anniversary, which is like, okay, cool. And basically tricks her into spending all kinds of money on like Magnum, some kind of Magnum liquor. I don't know what that is. Louis XIII, super expensive bottle to buy. I know that. And a lot of bottles. And he sees her her boyfriend flirting with other girls while she's getting hammered. So dude's a piece of crap. And then Jake is making his third attempt at trying to get the story done. He shows up to tell Miyamoto about the shipment, and what if only he gets the exclusive. So he's trying to get someone who will help him so he can write this story. He needs a news story, a big one, to satisfy his bosses, essentially. And of course, Miyamoto gets the police force together. They go rolling in. Jake's got his camera out. He's taking pictures of everything. They're tearing the plane apart. And they find absolutely nothing. So, of course, Miyamoto is instantly not happy. Because he's like, you gave me a bad tip. You're making me look stupid. This is a waste of our time. And Katagiri shows up. He's like, what do you do? He's like telling me, what are you doing? He goes, my job. He goes, this is Vice. So Miyamoto works for Vice. Katagiri is like homicide and stuff like that. So they work hand in hand together quite a bit, I'm assuming. So, and Miyamoto goes, why are you here? He goes, ask him, pointing to Jake, and Jake's standing there going, Jake, Ansel Elgort's face is just like, you can just see, he's like, I knew he messed up. He got a bad tip. He got kind of screwed. And, I can only imagine that feeling as a journalist, like getting a bad tip and knowing you're going to look stupid and you're burning sources. And you weren't trying to. And so the Katagiri shows up and basically reads him. He goes, look. He goes, the reason I told you to sit on this is because we could have built a case and evidence. He goes, we could have figured out his routes, his times, his means of transportation. He goes, now all of that is gone. Now we have to start from the very beginning. He goes, and it's because of you. He's going to continue to get away with what he's been doing. So, we flip over. We have the creepy bounty hunter guy, I'm going to continue to call him. Sato is sitting in his house, waiting for him as he walks in with getting ready to open a bottle of wine. And basically an argument ensues about Samantha and the arrangement they have. It's not going to happen. The guy goes, look, she has a debt to pay, basically to me. And basically it comes to blows, and Sato ends up murdering this man. So Sato's got 2 kills, 2 episodes. This one's pretty bloody. He just like bludgeons a dude to death. It's pretty graphic, but it's a cool scene, but not like you get what I mean. Cool fight scene again. And the character, the guy's playing Sato. He's an absolute scene stealer. Every scene he's in is amazing. The dude's a great actor. Again, just great actor, scene stealer. He's doing a great job. And so Sato, we flip over. Sato is at the hostess club with Samantha. But these guys gotta stop showing up at her work. It's really weird. Like Jake and Sato just keep showing up at her job unannounced. She's like, I'm here. I know you're at work, but I'm here, and just be like, hang out. I don't know. It's weird. So he shows up. Samantha sees him. He tells her like, look, you don't worry about that guy anymore. And she goes, what do you mean? He goes, it's taken care of. She goes, what do you mean? He goes, what do you think I mean? What do you think I did? And then, of course, Jake shows up. He's had a really bad day because he just got chewed out by he's having a bad day. Basically, he burned 2 sources, and he got no story out of it. And he's pissed at Sato for giving him the shitty tip, and he starts shoving, screaming, and basically he gets kicked out of the club. And rightfully so, he's pissed. Like he's like, I just got screwed here big time because you just ruined possibly ruined my journalism career here because of one bad tip, because you're using me because I'm an American. And we see that, and then in a scene that I kind of skipped over is there's a scene that Jake meets with his editor and the chief editor, and basically he is told that he's going, since there's no drugs found, he's going to write a story saying Miyamoto and Katagiri are terrible police officers, they didn't do their job right, there's a reason there's no drugs found. So he had to burn 2 stories, and he's flipping out. And after the whole Jake getting kicked out of the club scene, we find out that Miyamoto is actually a mole for Tozawa. And basically tells him, he goes, look, I helped, he goes, you were supposed to protect us and this and that. He goes, look, I did. He goes, they didn't find anything because I told them where to look. And I also told them where not to look. And it shows you clips of them like taking like the part of the propeller and the engine apart, taking off the panels, and like taking out like stacks of just meth. And so we found out that Miyamoto is basically, he's a dirty cop. And you know, it's sad, he's a great character, you hate to see it, but it is what it is. And basically Tozawa was like, who is this person that gave you this tip? And he gives up Jake. And that's basically how the episode ends. So again, lots of crazy stuff happening in these episodes, because again, it's winding down, so we have 2 more to do. So it's going to be interesting to see I'm interested, I'm interested, wow, words tonight, guys. We're interested to see where everything goes from here. So I think we're kind of reaching the climax of the show. We're almost there, I think. And it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here, to be honest with you. I'm not sure really what to expect at this point. I mean, like I said, I know it's going to happen, but I'm just saying for anybody who hasn't. Yeah, it's a great show. Again, you guys are watching this and you haven't watched, you feel like watching because you watched these and you like them, give it a watch. I mean, it's a solid show. Again, there's stuff that I skip around on. It's not that important, but I try and cover most of the important information coming out. So again, I will be trying to squeeze in the last 2 here this week and early next week, so we can wrap that up, so I can get you the Stranger Things episode that we've been talking about for a couple weeks now. So again, I got one buddy who's for sure from Chicago. Well, not from Chicago, he's from LA. And then I'm waiting another buddy from Chicago, so we're gonna try and get together with both of them and get them on here. Well, obviously it'll be via Zoom, so it'll be me, but it'll be a screen grab that you guys will get on YouTube. And the regular listeners who get this, you listen to regular audio, just be fine just for you in the podcast. So it should be a fun one. They're both good talkers, both very smart dudes, and I'm really looking forward to it because this new season of Stranger Things has been insane so far. And as we know, the last 2 episodes drop next Friday. So be on the lookout for that. Last 2 episodes of Tokyo Vice coming to you hopefully very soon. I'm hoping to get another one in later this week, and then one later early next week, and then Stranger Things. I'm gonna try and get that to you like next Wednesday or Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. Be sure to tell your family and friends about the show if you're enjoying it. I hope you guys are. I love doing this. Again, I'm gonna start getting more guests on after I wrap this up. I got another episode booked by my buddy Matt. We're gonna come on. We're gonna talk about the movie Maverick. Both huge Top Gun fans. I'm still in the works of trying to get 3 actors. I'm gonna try and get a couple actors and director, producers. They do all of it. 3 of them. I'm gonna try and go all in the same episode because they're all super awesome dudes. 2 are returning, and 1 will be a first timer. We've been trying to get this together since December. It's just the timing and life has not worked out. So we're still working on that, and that'll be one of the funnest ones we do if we can make this happen. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. Now that I've rambled on. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, feel free to reach out to me. All social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on all of them. Reach out, give a follow. leave a comment, and please be sure to rate and review with 5 stars online. Helps me, helps the show grow. And I appreciate everyone who's listening and follows me, and that's all I got for you guys tonight. So you know what it is. As always, I hope you've enjoyed your slice of pie. See you next time. Whoop. Messed that one up, guys.